First of all, we started with me, Cash Money, and Rozelle. We started, in our high school time years. Yeah, once we got out of grammar school, we went to high school. That's when everything just took off, you know. For me, being honest, I didn't like the school. I went up there to see what the curriculum was about. That wasn't for me. You know what I mean? Hands down. That's how I took it and ran with it, right? But being honest, it was me, Cash Money, and Booster. His street name was Rozelle. That was his street name, right? So we doing us, putting shit together, rapping, hanging out, try to figure it out in the musical world in the 80s, you know. So we rapping, going to Rozelle house. He got the beatbox. We doing us, rapping, writing shit down, doing what he was doing, and just coming up with some rhymes and the come up. That was the come up for us. Smoking our weed. We call it reefer at the time. We getting zooted. That's what the word was, getting zooted, right? Just coming up with ideas, right? Tom and Shazim, they from Duncan too. So they had their own little crew at that time. You know what I mean? Called Phase Two, if I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So fast forward, we combined us three and them two. So Tom was a DJ, Shazim was rapping. So that made it, official like Scott Tissue to keep the name. Tranquilizing three. It was three rappers and two DJs. So it made sense, to us at that time. So we did, we was doing da da da. And then once we started getting the traction, we hooking up with DJs from down Duncan, DJ Kaz, peace be upon Kaz, yeah. Miko, he was like one of the best, yeah, hands down. DJ Wimpy B, peace be upon him as well. You know what I mean? And you had a lot of DJs, Niz, I'm gonna call Tashin. I can't forget them. They was there. I was there. So, I don't want to exclude no one. If I did, pardon me. You know what I mean? But them was the main DJs that was doing their thing in that era, right? But we formulated, and I must admit, I'm trying to, keep it at a pace. Shazim is a brilliant man. Why I say that? Because all the rhythms that we have done and created, he did all that. That was his musical brain, to be honest with y'all. Shazam was that guy. And he always used to make it up, how he was making it in his head. He'd catch rhythms from, commercials, comedy sitcoms, and he'd come to me and tell me, only word is born, everything. He always come to me first. So he know I'm going to grasp to it quick. The memory bank is cool, blah, blah, blah. He would creep off. Somebody I could be playing tops or pitching quarters or something. I remember in that era, right? Whatever I was doing, I'll stop, creep off. Me, I'm going the hallway, and he'd beat on the door, the elevator door, or the building. In the building, that first little window, that fiberglass window with the bass. He started doing that. He was just rapping, singing, and beating. So he'd tell me, won't, like, we the tranquilizing 3MCs, Mellow C, Cash Key, Shazam give you good to the last rap feeling. Tranquilizing three. He made that and told me that. I was blown. I ain't gonna lie. I'm young, like what, 16, 17, something like that. So I'm like, whoa, what kind of mind, what kind of, come up is that? So I grasped onto it immediately because I'm musically inclined too. It's in my DNA, right? So I'm doing me, listening, boom, boom, and I'm following his note, and I picked up quick. He'll tell you, fact check it. Shazam will tell y'all, yeah, Mel ain't lying. He keeping it a buck, right? So we hooking up Cash Money, because Cash was, living down Duncan. He was in 3 building, right? We go find him because Cash was moving around. Cash was outside too, hands down. Peace be upon my brother, right? So boom, We'd find Cash, tap him in with the rhythm. He'd get it on. He'd grasp on quick too, cause he was, listening. So we paid attention that he was listening. So I know how I was giving it up. Listening, I wasn't faking no front like I was listening. And then when it's time to recite it, I'm not on deck, but I was on point. Okay, so boom, we'd find Cash, we'd plug him in, and then we started doing that like on a regular. Then we switched up, started doing the music at Time House, because Time had that sophisticated music at the time. His shit was more moderate. He had everything that was out in that era. The real, and this and that, blah blah blah. Yeah, he had everything, hands down. Right? So we started doing our ones and twos and our threes and fours. Shaw coming up with rhythms. Here he go. He playing his part. Boom, making the rhythms up. Shaw had a voice, no lying, like a Michael Jackson, Ralph Tresvant type of voice back then. He had a voice. Everybody can contest to that too, right? And I had a voice too, still do, right? But I smoke cigarettes. That's gonna be another topic, cigarettes, right? And yeah, I had a voice like Marvin Gaye. So, and Cash Money had a voice uh, like Jada, but his was raspy, just like Jada, but in that era. Yeah, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. So three different voices you'll hear ring. I know that, especially when me and Shazine was, doing our thing. Boom, boom. In the hallway, I heard a ring. His voice and my mellow Marvin Gaye type voice at that time was like a perfect stare, right? So boom, we started doing that on a regular. He coming up with Welcome Back Kotter rhythm, Mary Tyler Moore rhythm, Welcome Back Kotter. Yeah, all that good shit, just out of the blue. He tapping me in. I'm remembering it. We going to recite it, and we in a hallway, and we just doing us like we was in a studio. That was our stew. The hallways was our stew at the time. Yeah, I'm gonna say it like that, right? But we started getting it popping, and we started getting attraction. Us three started getting attraction. We was already from Duncan, so I believe if I'm not wrong or saying it wrong, Tom, peace be upon Miss Timberlake, she had connections with the housing authority, if I'm not mistaken. She was tapped in, and we was good kids. We wasn't no bad kids. We stood our ground fighting. There was no guns involved, none of that. Thank God it wasn't during our time. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to get y'all in the mix on how that era was, and it was just a good upbringing, as far as that. So we started doing us. Then we started doing block parties and Duncan. Yeah, we was known. Like I said, we wasn't bad kids and doing crazy shit, robbing. Nah, that wasn't our style, right? So we was getting on to the ticket with the block party. Just music outside. Tom, you was very respectful. We had a good upbringing. Yeah, it wasn't none of that wild shit going on like it is today. You know, that's to let you know how the world is evolving. You know what I mean? But yeah, we started doing that, and then we started doing hookups. Tom plugged us in with Kumo D, Treacherous Three, uh, uh, Cold Crush Brothers, JDL, Grandmaster Caz, Dougie Fresh, Kumo D, LA Sunshine, Force MCs. We did a show out there. It was happening so fast, like it was going. It took off, and we would stayed in. We was firm in our little spot, our little rap world. We was getting attraction. Everybody started noticing us, hearing of us. Because we was recording tapes. Motherfucker was selling tapes of us, and we didn't know the value of the money at the time in that business. We was all young. We was like 15, 16, 17, something like that. Yeah, I was a young boy. I was a teenager, right? So we started getting shows booked at the Roxy's, the Roseland, Red Parrot, the Ones. Then we did the show in Staten Island with the Foursome C's, and performed at the Roxy's. How many people right now can tell you they performed at the Roxy's? Yeah, I want to hear. I'm saying right now. And can you know? I know some people did. They was way before me and us, but I'm just saying, and I'm here to live it and tell it, right? So yeah, I just wanted to break the ice with that. That's how we came up, and it was beautiful. It was real beautiful how that musical world shaped our lives in different ways. You know what I mean? And I had a good run with that, But Shazim is something interesting. Speaking upon him, he was the rhythm master. He come up with them rhythms and he tapped me in, and I was always like a sponge. I was absorbing it quick, and he knew that. He was like, "I run it back." And I started off to let him know, yeah, I'm on point, nigga. Don't try me. You know what I mean? And we could be smoking joints or not smoking. 'Cause I knew the weed was my thing. Plus, I was selling weed at the time. That's past tense. You know what I mean? We was teenagers at the time. You know what I mean? But anywho, yeah, we had a good run. That's how the Tranquilizing Three formed. It was me, Cash Money, and Booster, better known as Rozelle. That was the start of it. And then Shazim and Tom, they was phase two. But we combined, and that solidified the name as the stay, the Tranquilizing Three, because it made sense. The three MCs, and we had two DJs. So it worked out perfectly fine for us. It was fitted for us. But I just wanted to share, excuse me, I just wanted to share this backstory on how this came about, and it was a beautiful run. It was a beautiful run, just and getting money, at the same time. Yeah, we was getting money. You know what I mean? Once we started, knowing, the culture, how motherfucker was doing it. Yeah, getting the medicine. Yup, doing that. The little, other shit, and we was just getting money. We was getting money back in the days. You know what I mean? That was 40 something years ago. Yeah, about 40 something years ago. And I'm glad I'm here to tell my story. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad I'm here to do that. Sitting in my front room, you know, sharing with you guys on our backstory on how it all came about. With the rhythm, used to do the block parties. It was beautiful. Doing parks, reunions, and we put a stain in Jersey City. And then, oh, let me not forget, we had battles too. Yeah, y'all can relate to that too. We had battles. And one particular crew that stood out was Sweet Slick and Sly. Yeah, we're going to get back to them though. Hold on for a minute. We battled Killer Force. We battled Rocksteady Crew, Rock House Crew, whoever, Classical 4. We had some battles down the line. But Sweet Slick and Sly was the crew that was reckoned with. I'm going to be honest. They was from Jersey City. Al Bial, my man, peace be upon Al Bial. Peace be upon Jimmy Mack. Peace be upon Shabazz. Yeah, yeah, them was the crew to be reckoned with. I got to salute to them guys. You know what I mean? They in heaven right now doing, they transition, more like to say. But I respected Al Bial and their craft. Yeah, I did. They DJ Stranger, Victor Quick, peace be upon them. You see what I'm saying? So I don't mind sharing our backstories with some good guys. They was good guys overall. They had a life they was living. Shit happens, whoop, whoop, wop, wop. But yeah, I like to shout them out though. May they rest in peace. And yeah, we had a good time. We had a good run. Me and Al was cool too. Speaking upon Al Bial, me and him was cool. Me and him was like, out of his crew and my crew, me and him was cool. You know what I mean? Because I had connections on the hill. My family, lived up there. My grandmother, my uncles, aunts, so I had it going on in that perspective too. Location, where I can go. Because some motherfuckers couldn't come outside. They couldn't come out of Duncan. Y'all know I ain't lying. Couldn't come out of Duncan. Yeah, stay in your lane. That's what we say now. Stay in your lane. You feel me? So like when I was saying I was outside, I was outside. I know I was outside. You know what I'm saying? But that's how the tranquilizing came about, and it was a quite run. It was a quite run. Yeah, meeting new people. You know what I mean? New ideas and you know, yeah, it was a good run. Damn good run. But Shazim and Cash Money, being that I'm on my boys, yeah. Peace be upon my brother, Cash Money. You already, right? Like my brother from another mother, right? But Shazim was very very creative. You know what I mean? I admired him in that era. You know what I mean? Because he knew I was responsible. I was, you know, reliable, and he always, depended on me in that regard of taking heed on what he had going on in his creation mode, his creation ability. So I took heed to that. I was like, where the heck you get that from? I was jumping up and down the hallway acting a fool like, Sha, are you serious? He said, Mel, it just be coming. And I'll be like, whoa, but I was on deck all time. You can fact check that too. Ask Sha. Yeah, Mel. Mel was on point. Can't make that one up neither. Nope. Yeah. Shazim was a brilliant uh, rhythm maker. Hands down. Hands down. I can't recall. Excuse me. I can't even recall me even making up. I'll probably added a little, sayings, but the whole orchestra of the rhythm, that's Shazam. Nah, hands down. Cash might have, you know, you know, inserted some things and contributed to some rhythms, but I'm giving Shazam hands down. Okay, I got to give credit when it's due. Tom is doing his thing. He had the good equipment. He had the best of best. That was whatever was out. T had it. Yeah, Tom had that. Hands down. Booster, he had his little shit, but not you know you know separating them from the different. But I got to, cause Tom had the more updated shit that was out in that time. Whatever time period we was in, he had the equipment for that. So I give hands down to Tom. You know what I mean? He know I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I'm not a yes man. You know what I mean? That's why I'm still here. Because my way is the best way. If I do it somebody else's way, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. So that's all I want to share for right now. I'm about to go live and, you know what I mean, make it do what it do. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how the Tranquilizing 3 came about. You know what I mean? With the DJs. And then you had other rappers down there. You know what I mean? You had some rappers down there. Chopper. You had Chopper. He came out with that girl. Yeah, you know what I mean? But this was after us. This was way after us. We put Duncan on the map. Facts. Fact check that. Yeah. What's up with them Tranquilizing 3 boys? We was something different. Real different. Yeah. They'll tell you. Do your homework. They'll tell you. But when we made that record, education is a fact of life, I'll be man and admit it. We got jerked. We got jerked. We got jerked. What do you want me to do? I was young. I just liked it, the atmosphere we was in. You know what I mean? Because then money started coming. You know what I'm saying? Cash money. We was doing our thing with the money, with the medicine, the weed, we was truckloaded up with that. So, at that time, we was good, I'm going to keep it real. Tom was looking out for the cookout. We came from the same struggle, but he was a little, financially, he was that guy. And we was his strong coat. You know what I mean? Plus, we was into music. We was about that life. At least I was. I ain't going to front. I was about that life then. You know what I'm saying? Once we was doing our numbers with the music, I was off the hook already. Y'all had it in me. It's in my DNA. It's in my DNA. So I just wanted to share this with you guys, and hope y'all like the concept, the content, and I'm just doing a flashback. I'm doing a flashback. See how this works. But I hope you guys like it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Like and smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel. Show brother some love. I'm a newie. I'm a newie, but I'm about to do more good things, more good contents, and tell y'all some real story that really took place in my life. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody can tell your story but better than you. And this is my story. Alright, we out of here.